came to know Christ as a pre-med student at the American University of Beirut. It was 1 year before the Civil War started. And when I started, I was with Campus Crusade and I was sharing Christ. I wanted to go into possibly full-time ministry. I thought this is the way I can show Christ that how much I love him. I prayed a lot, but the Lord told me to go into medicine. And later on, he revealed his will to me after I finished my training at the University of Florida and became faculty in the University of Florida, that he wants me to serve him through medicine, and he wants me to call upon other Arab-speaking, Bible-believing Christians, Christ-centered Christians, to serve the Lord and share him as the great physician who can heal not only the body but also the soul in the whole Arab world. The Lord put a tremendous love in my heart for the Arab people, particularly Muslims. As you well know, in Lebanon, the war was a Muslim-Christian. There was a lot of hatred. Many of us as minority Christians, I'm talking nominal Christians, we don't like the Muslims in the Arab world. We don't feel like we want to share Christ with them because we were hurt. But the Lord transformed all of this into tremendous love for all people in the Middle East, to see reconciliation and healing, true healing, not only physical but also spiritual and psychosocial through the Lord Jesus Christ. In 1989, the vision of home came into being, and the area that we concentrate on is the Nile Valley, which is Egypt here and going to Sudan. This is Arabic-speaking area. What is known as the land of the gospel, which is the Fertile Crescent or the Greater Syria, if you may, which includes Syria, Lebanon, Jordan here, Palestine, Israel, and Iraq, certainly Iraq, and then the Arabian Peninsula. So we think of the Arab world as four sub areas, and there is the Fertile Crescent, which is often referred to as Levant, or this is the Arabian Peninsula, and many of you were here in Yemen, and the Nile Valley and North Africa. Both Egypt and the Nile Valley and this Fertile Crescent has some Christian presence, but as you well know, it is mostly nominal Christians, Catholic, Orthodox, the Coptics, the Orthodox, but not many evangelicals, but they has an evangelical presence, open presence. This part is completely closed in the gospel, and this part has been completely closed, but now we're finding tremendous numbers of MBBs, Muslim believers, Bible believers, that are, or background believers that are coming to Christ, big numbers. And we're finding some of the leaders of home from this area that are from Muslim background. They came to know the Lord and they're helping us in this area. And we're finding the same thing here. Actually, I'm going to announce to you that in Tunisia, we're starting the clinic with approval, like a home clinic. In Mauritania, there's good work and a lot of work. We've trained people, MBBs in Algiers. But to go back to the main, some of the things I'm going to try to give you, what we're seeing in the Arab world since 2000, basically 11, is what they've called the Arab Spring, but it turned out to be the Arab Storm. It's actually the Arab Firestorm, all the violence that you hear. And it started really in Tunisia and then moved quickly to Egypt and then Libya, and then the chaos, and then moved now to Syria with the tremendous civil war that was occurring before in Iraq and Syria, and moved to Yemen, it is going on in Bahrain. And so it has been moving from one country to the other. But despite of all of this, it seems like in the midst of that Arabic storm, there is tremendous, even more need for healing. I was reading a few days ago the story of one physician who during the times in the United States, when George Washington was leading the liberation from the British when they covered, and his name is Joseph Warren. He's a physician. He went to the first battles between the revolutionary American army and the British. And obviously the British army was so strong that during the first battle, there, the Americans had to retreat, to move back. So they called him and they said, Joseph, so Dr. Joseph, you have to move back. We're all retreating. They're overwhelmed us. We were even out of bullets, and we need to move back. Come. And he said, I can't move back as long as there are wounded people on the field. And if there are wounded people on the field, even from both sides, I will not move back. Well, he stayed there. They came and shot him in the head. But this is an illustration that when there is a battle and there are wounded people, this is our role as physicians to be there. But there are also spiritually wounded people. And there are also dead people that we can call the word of Christ on them and liberate them. We're seeing tremendous life-changing stories among Muslims in all of these areas, including Syria. The numbers of people coming to know Christ. And medicine is such an effective way to reach those. I shared with my dear brother, Dr. Abraham, the story when our church was taken over by Hezbollah in Lebanon. And the life-changing experience, I was a young physician, when we served them in love, and we were able to share the gospel with them. And then they had to leave, and they left with tears and all holding the gospels. And they said, we saw God in you. This is the house of God, and you are the people of God. It was my first awakening before home came, that the calling for home. Home means the homeland, but it also means health outreach in the Middle East for Christ. But we want to win our home. This is the home this is the land where Christ was born. We want to win them for Christ. And I'm sort of touched here because I feel like we're in the book of Acts. I hear the calling, like the man from Macedonia. He called on Paul, come and help us. And every time I go and put my head to sleep on the bed, I hear that call, come and help us, from all these parts of the world. And I'm so honored that you're part, that there is the working of the Spirit is that we can be the partners together to go and help a lot of people and bring a lot of people during these last days to the name of Christ. Like you, we're following the biblical model. Jesus went through the towns and villages teaching, proclaiming the good news, and healing every disease and sickness. When I was talking to Dr. Lee now, I asked him, are we still, and every time we go on mobile clinic sharing Christ? And he said, yes, Wasim sometimes shares. And I said, no, we need to make it more effective. We want to make sure we share the gospel with people. Now, as you will know, in some of the closed Muslim countries, and you've been to Yemen, you cannot share directly. But Dr. Meher Samuel, who's our VP for the Middle East and who's one of our key leaders, has trained and has really been instrumental in initiating what we call now the Antioch, Arabs to Arabs Antioch School of Medical Missions. And in that School of Medical Missions, we teach people how to plant the seed slowly, and with time, share Christ with the Muslims if they are in closed areas. And he has been able to train through small sessions. We have 7 seminars, almost 3,000 people in Egypt, either pharmacists or physicians. And then the School of Medical Mission, we were able to get people to stay for almost 3 months, 34 of them, and all of them went on short mission trips, some of them on long mission trips. Now we have missionaries in Jordan working, we have some going to Mauritania for long term, the Tunisia, and this has been a very instrumental, and I'll give you more idea. But this is the 3 dimensions of what Home is doing. It's the School of Medical Mission that was started in 2011, but now we're looking for a hospital bed or a hospital place or a center where they can really be occurring, because now we're moving them from one place to the other. The second thing is establish Christ-centered clinics, mobile units or mobile medical units, as what Dr. Lee is doing now in Lebanon, and he's, with your help, is establishing those. And in the future hospitals, we have our eye on the Nile Hospital and possibly Hamdan Hospital. And the third dimension to share Christ, our motto is reach out the suffering and share the cure. Our third motto is our third aim is to share Christ through the media, and particularly through TV programs. With SAT7, which we reach 40 million people in the Middle East, we have been able to now produce 104 episodes, each one of them 30 minutes. Mostly Dr. Maher Samuil, and I contributed to a good number of them, but Maher with other professors who speak Arabic. We share first about a medical problem like cancer, and then for 15 minutes, and then we use cancer as an analogy to sin, and Christ being the physician who would be able to heal. So we talk about heart disease and heart transplantation. And we talk about that when you have a failing heart, you need a heart transplant, somebody with a good heart to give you. And then we take the promise, I shall give you a new spirit, a new heart I will place in you. I'll take the heart of stone and put your heart of flesh. And we say this is heart transplantation. The born again experience is the transplantation of the heart. And these have been very effective. Actually, they're reaching Saudi Arabians, and they're reaching places in all parts of the Arab world, North Africa and closed areas, tools for reaching out. And this program, we're very thankful it's still going. This is an older slide, but we projected these episodes. This is where they were 71. I have to update it now. They're 104. Actually, we added another 15 the last 2 months, so they're 119 at this point episodes, and we're going to be doing more. We already aired almost 100 of those, and we're still going with some others. And the main station is in Egypt. This is where the work has been going, but it does air. The Hassad 7 is in Cyprus. But during this terrible time, the Lord put on our hearts to build a network of mobile medical units. And the first one started in Lebanon, and then it moved to 6 other countries. Now we have Egypt. Now, Dr. Lee, you will be happy that in Egypt now we will have 2 in Upper Egypt, in the mobile area. We have in Iraq 1. We have West Bank. The plan is to move to Syria, and we have 1 in Sudan, which already has been purchased. The mobile medical network has been very effective because we reach the unreached. But we always want a referral base. We always wanted a hospital. Unfortunately, this is not happening, or a good specialty clinics. And this is what we were talking with Dr. Lee, and the need for help. Because we need to establish good places and good clinics. We have clinics on the ground, but they're not really places where you can refer for like outpatient surgery, to do endoscopy, to do maybe laparoscopy. They're very primitive work. For example, our clinic in Iraq is active in Baghdad, but it does basic things, and we want to develop it to become further. You're all aware of the Syrian crisis and the tremendous impact it had. The numbers are really staggering. Now there are almost more than 13 million people displaced. Almost 5 million people are refugees.
13 million people.
13 million people displaced. 7 million 7.5 million within Syria itself. That is, they've been displaced from one city to the other. Refugees within Syria. But a good number, which is almost more than 5 million, is outside Syria.
5 million.
5 million outside Syria, more than 5 million. And the majority of these 5 million went to Lebanon. Lebanon now, the statistics is 1.5 million Syrian refugees are in Lebanon. There are few in Turkey, few in Iraq, almost Jordan. 1 million in Jordan. But Lebanon is 1.5 million, but the population is only 4 million. So you can imagine that this is almost 1/3 of the population, 1/4 to 1/3 of the population is in Lebanon. And Lebanon is in tremendous pressure. There's almost 1 million in Jordan. There is a 700,000, they are in camps in Turkey. There are some others in Iraq. But we've seen at the same time the largest growth of the church over the years happened during this crisis. Dr. Lee came to us when we had our conference, the home conference, or what we call the home summit, when we have delegates. He came to be with us in Syria. And while we were in Syria, you might have been with him, we can see the Secret Service, during the conference, sitting with us